Good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Eric and Danette videoing for me, and we wanted to do just a little video on how we do our tomatoes. And when I say do our tomatoes, obviously we eat our tomatoes fresh. Danette's kind of giving you a little video there of the tomatoes. These were grown off our tomato plants, and actually the previous video was me picking some the other day, and some of those ripe ones are in here. I've got a few out on the table that are ripening, and I may even pick a few more up that are ripe to add to this bunch. But we're going to show you how we can our tomatoes, and everybody, there's a couple different ways you can do it. And last year I canned them, and then this year Eric started canning some, and this year we tried something different. He tried to do what's called a cold pack can. Basically, instead of cooking the tomatoes or simmering them for 10 minutes before you put them in jars and put them in a hot bath, you just put them cold, fresh, chopped up, crushed up, however you do it. Put them in the jars, put them on, and then you hot bath it for 85 minutes. And Eric did that last week. And one thing he realized as he was doing it was, obviously the tomatoes hold a lot of water. So we had several that, some of them, it's all fluid here and just tomatoes up here. So one thing I told him, I said, well, you can strain that, because that's what I did with mine the year before. So he realized that towards the end he strained one, and there's the difference. Now you have, basically full of tomatoes and some juice. And so if you're using it for sauces and things like that, less of the water, more of the tomato in each one. So you'll have less jars, but you'll have more bang for your buck. So today I'm going to show you how we do our tomatoes. I'm actually going to simmer mine. So instead of the cold pack, we're going to try the other ones the way I did it last year. And I'm going to strain them when I put them in the jars, and then we'll see what the finished product looks like. So what we do is we use a processor, and I take the tomatoes and I just lit this up, and these have been washed and cut, and I cut them into smaller pieces where it's easier for the chopper to handle. And we just fill it up. We do ours with the skin on. Now, there's those that do it with the skin off, but I just always feel like the nutrients of the tomato are in there and gives it good flavor. And boy, it smells good in here, if you could smell it. I'll just take it off, and I pour the thick tomatoes down in the pot. And so I will finish up all these tomatoes, and then we'll show you what we do next. Okay, we're going to walk outside real quick and see. We have a little table that we use just to put tomatoes on as they're coming off. And like I showed you in the video before, as they're starting to break, we'll put some on here. We'll get the ripe ones. And I'm going to just grab a few of these ripe ones that might be ready that I can put in the salsa.
Salsa.
I say salsa, the tomatoes. We're going to put a few of these in there, and a few of these look good. Ready. That one might be a little longer. That one's ready. go a little longer. So I just picked a few more that are, you know, fairly ripe to put in there. The rest of these we're going to save for the next time, because they'll help ripen sitting out here. And usually what we like to do is what we've been told, and I've never researched it heavily, but they always say to mix, you know, some of the ones that are riper with the ones that are green or are just breaking, and it'll help them ripe faster, ripen up quicker. And I'll try to research that and talk a little bit. That one might be about ready right there. Research that and give you some more information on the next video we do for tomatoes. I'll try to research that a little bit better so I'll know it better. But look at that little bitty one. It's a big difference from that one, but it's ripe. We're going to use it. All right, let's go back inside. All right, so wash these off, and I'm going to core them. We have this little tiny thing that just helps core the tomato. Try to preserve as much of the tomato as we can. This thing has little teeth, and just stick it in there and pop it out. Then wash it some more. Get it clean. And we'll just take our knife and we'll just slice it up. And just drop these ripe tomatoes down in there. And we'll finish up with these, and then we'll get them on the stove. And usually what we do is, once we get them in the stove, often get the tomatoes on the stove, we'll get the temperature on, just starting it warm up so it can get to a simmer. And while that's happening, I'll take and wash my jars. And I can look at about the size of the pot and know about how much I'm going to need. Jar wise, I think this is probably going to make us about maybe 6 quarts, 7 if we're lucky, but I'm going to guess 6, but we'll see. But we'll get the jars ready, and what we do is we wash them, and then we stick them in the oven, and we just turn the oven on about 170 degrees. I guess you could do hotter if you want to, but about 170 degrees, and let them get hot. And then when it's time to take this off the stove, the tomatoes will be warm. We'll strain them a little bit and jar them in those hot jars. And once we do that, let's see if this is, we may have to separate those out there. And once we do that, we'll get our hot canner ready. And or I say hot canner, or hot bath. Basically, you know, the difference between you know, pressure canning something and hot bath is, you know, pressure canning you can use a little bit of water and use pressure, sustained pressure. Most of the time at about 10 pounds. For these, you can just hot bath them, and basically you just submerge them in water. You know, an inch or so above the water, above the jars, and you just get it to a boil for the way we're going to do it, since it's going to be cooked for 45 minutes, and or 40 minutes. I'll have to check my time on that, but it's somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes. Let me hit this real quick. move this bucket out of the way. And
you can choose to clean them and cut them up and put them in the refrigerator until all of your tomatoes are ripened, or this is just a process you can do a little along so it's not so overwhelming all at one time.
right, if you go buy tomatoes, and just say you buy 60 or 100 pounds of tomatoes, then obviously you're gonna spend several hours doing that process. If you raise your own tomatoes like we do, as they come off, and you get a batch of 25, 30 pounds, you can do this yourself and get that. We're going to turn that eye on, and then I'll have to clean this up. But what we're going to do is turn the eye on, and then I'll get us some jars ready, and I'll show you how we do that. All right, so one other thing I'd like to point out is a lot of times when we're doing produce at our house, for us, I found these, Danette, about a year or two ago at Walmart.
Yeah.
And they're basically clothes hamper baskets, little clothes baskets. And I bought them. They were like $5 or $6, and they work great for tomatoes. The handles it's all incorporated, so it's not. Eventually, I'm sure these will crack and break over time, but we've used them a lot. And we can put tomatoes, onions, peppers, jalapenos. You can just stack them in there, process them, pour them in. They're flexible, so when you have juice, you can pour it in. They wash easy, hot water, soap. They stack easy. They're just awesome little things for $5 or $6 that you can use around your house for produce. So if you don't have any, stop by Walmart. If we see a few, my niece Erica knows how much I love these. She's like, oh, Greg loves those things. And I hadn't seen any in a while, and she saw 3, all they had at Walmart. She bought me 3 more. So anyways, something to think about.